Hi, everybody. Louise Eddington, Cosmic Owl Astrology, Wisdom Weaver, author of the new book series in astrology, Nourishment, Power, and the
I
Rebirth
found
of the
this on the web.
Feminine. Oh, and it's my watch is talking to me. I wasn't going to do a video today, but today is July the 4th. Yesterday, the big bloated, ugly bill was passed, and the current occupant of the White House is going to sign the bill later today. I'll be looking for that. But somebody, well, let's go on. I wanted to add. It took me ages to write my morning post on Substack this morning, which you can go and read for free at Cosmic Owl on Substack, Cosmic Owl Astrology on Substack. But I woke up thinking today is July the 4th, and while many are celebrating, I'm here to ask, what are we really celebrating? And somebody I was already kind of spitting a little bit because of the aspects today and because of what's happening in the world. I also woke up to find that Putin and Trump had a phone call, and after that, Russia sent so many ballistic missiles into Kyiv. Um, Many were shot down, but many weren't. That there's Kyiv is just like covered in acrid black smoke. The Russians think that um, Trump is on their side. Whether he is or not, I really don't know. This is not really about that. But then somebody triggered me because I decided that I can't celebrate today. I'm not going to go out and do fireworks and all that kind of thing and go yay, yay, yay with what's happening in the world. I'm wearing my death cult t-shirt again because that feels like what we're in. But I always do have hope. And so I actually kind of want to give you a oh, can I find it? A James Baldwin quote. And here it is, I think. No. Mm-mm. So let me. So James Baldwin, wonderful, wonderful man, said, I love America more than any other country in the world, and exactly for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually. That was from Notes of a Native Son in 1955. Now, for those of you that are kind of new here, clearly I'm an immigrant, and somebody this morning triggered me, and we had a little bit of a to do because I said I'm not celebrating, I'm wearing black. And this was, and she was like, well, I'm celebrating because this is not who we are. And I was like, oh, well, it clearly is. Decades of history brought us to this. It's been simmering underneath. This country was founded on oppression with a big myth of escaping oppression. Now, people were people, and some people, and many of the people that founded America were escaping oppression. But then they became what they were escaping from in many ways. Ask the native peoples and more. Immigrant after immigrant wave treated the next immigrant wave inhumanely. I've studied the history of America or the United States to be specific, for such a long time. I do love the United States, and I'm proud to be a citizen. But this person was even saying things, well, I'm a native born American. And I'm like, are your ancestors from this world? We're all immigrants. I may be a newer immigrant, but thank you for that. Anyway, she's one of those kind of people. But I am kind of a little bit fed up of the kind of mindless celebration of this day without understanding more of the history and how we got where we're at now and so on. And of course, I can't do it all in one video. I try to talk about things over time, but I was compelled to make this video, right? And oh, I've lost the notes I made. Here it is. So yeah, so as I finally found the words to write my Substack post, I felt myself tearing up. I felt it in my bones, and I want to just speak directly to this day. And I'm going to share my chart to show you why I'm so ignited. I don't mind showing my chart publicly. But I was born here December 14th, 59, 8:52 a.m. Currently, Neptune is stationing retrograde today, very close to my Aries South Node in the third house. So Aries is spitting fire, which I woke up spitting fire. Saturn is going to station retrograde as well on the 13th on my South Node, pretty much. Also, the Scorpio moon is coming up to the top of my chart, my midheaven and my Venus and my Neptune, and Vesta is there as well, which represents both the heart of the state and focus and commitment. And I just felt like I have to say something today. So whether you love my thoughts or not. Also, Venus has just moved into the sign of Gemini and is opposing my Mercury. And clearly I have a very strong relationship with Venus because she's so far at the top of my chart. And so I'm compelled really to speak out today. So I'm going to. And so it is inspired by today's astrology, but also by what's happening in the world. So we have Neptune stationing retrograde in Aries today. Yeah. And the Sabian symbol for that is the profile of a man that suggests the outline of his country. And I long ago in 2016, when the current resident of the White House was elected the first time, said that this is our collective shadow in our face. And he's proving to be so. And I think that is from all sides. This is what we've become. It's always been simmering underneath. You know, we can go back to all kinds of bit of history, but also conversely, there's those who want to maintain the status quo and just go, well, I'm going to celebrate because this is not who we are. But that doesn't mean I don't have hope that we can be. Because as I've tried to mention in other videos, we have some very big astrology aspects going on to the 4th of July 1776 chart that suggest that we can work to become the promise of the United States if we choose. Of course, it could go the other way. So, but with Neptune stationing retrograde in Aries on the Venus star point from March the 22nd, actually, 22 Aries, this is about truth versus delusion and the mythology of America's freedom. This is also happening at the very bottom of the USA's chart on the so-called on the nadir or the IC, which is the very root of who we are inside, the root of who we are and who we're becoming. So the US chart is ignited with this. This Neptune retrograde station is going to cut through spiritual bypassing and exposing false independence, right? Then we have Venus conjunct Uranus at 29 Taurus and then entering Gemini. We're going to have sudden realizations, values upheaval, seeing with new eyes. Talk about how values are shifting individually and collectively. And Gemini is about ideas and experiments as well. And America has always been, United States, sorry, has always been described as an experiment. And it's a one big idea, and it's always kind of uh, gone along being created by the founding fathers, based on their ideals from their perspective at the time, which was very hierarchical and patriarchal anyway. So and and that's what it was built on. We couldn't even ratify the ERA, for heaven's sake. you know and it has to serve so many people and so many different views. Also with Gemini is about others' perspectives and things like that. And from my perspective, we as individuals in this country are always trying to blame somebody else. Well, it's them that did it, or we are being manipulated, or we are being controlled. Aries is about taking your autonomy and your agency. Learn about things, learn about who you truly are and what you stand for, right? Anyway, we also have this Scorpio moon that's sitting at the top of my chart. Scorpio moons always cut deep, right, by the way. And the Scorpio moon is conjunct Vesta and Black Moon Lilith, and that is bringing up sacred rage and the fire within. It's also bringing up grief, anger, devotion to truth, and the demand to be whole. And I'm seeing many posts kind of expressing parts of what I'm trying to express here. And today as well, we have the Sun Square series on the USA's birthday, square to Ceres in Aries. And this is bringing up the pain of disconnection from the land, the people, and nourishment. This is kind of the mother wound of this nation, if you like. It's all up today. So my personal feelings today are one of I've got that sacred rage. I've got that grief. I've got that anger. I've got that devotion to truth. I want this country, this amazing country, to live up to its promise. I really want to fight for truth and liberty for all and all those things, I want to fight for all these things in this image that I found as well, that all people have value, that kindness is free, that beliefs are personal, rights are universal, freedom only exists if it applies to everyone. Choose to be curious, not judgmental. And I can't read the rest. Let me get it up from behind. The world is full of friends we have yet to meet. Our differences make us beautiful, and we can all strive to be good humans. This is what I want, and I'm trying to play my part in it. I'm not always good at it, but So, this country, as I mentioned at the start, has been built on oppression, and it's got this myth of escaping it on this day, that July the 4th was about claiming our freedom, our personal freedom, our independence. But, there was this broken promise of slaves were already here, and we kept on, slavery continued for such a long time. As I mentioned, it was not built on rights for all at all. Like I said, the ERA never even been ratified, Equal Rights Amendment. So liberty and justice for all is a broken promise, but it's still a promise that we could aim for and aim to create co-creatively, one person at a time. So, just everything hit me today. There's this bill, that is the first thing we have to deal with this big bloated ugly bill is the funding for ICE, because many of the Medicare cuts and things like that, sorry, Medicaid cuts and things like that people are really fighting about they won't come into play till 2027, I believe. ICE gets funding right away. The tax cuts come in right away or get continued for the rich. And did you know ICE is going to be a bigger force than even the police force in this country. We have to find a way to come together to focus on that issue first, in my opinion, because people are going to be hurt. They're already being hurt. People are being dragged off the streets. And I'm an immigrant, so, I feel like even though I'm pure lily white, I'm not brown, and clearly the focus is on brown people at first. By speaking out strongly, I put myself in on those front lines as well. And so, there is complicity, but there's always been complicity. The border and immigration laws and so on have been a problem for such a long time. It's just this populist, nationalist, not patriotic, because patriotism is taking a stand for the promise of the country. Nationalism is a whole nother thing. But anyway, is happening everywhere, and there's complicity with other authoritarians, but there's a lot that has allowed this shadow to come forth in this country, I believe. So it's a lie. This isn't who we are. This is who we've been, but it doesn't have to be who we choose to become. Early next year, Saturn and Neptune will move back into Aries and meet at 0 Aries. We've got all these other things coming on. We have this real opportunity to choose to have a new beginning, a new start, to recreate this country, to live up to the promise that it was founded on. Okay, so this is kind of an expansion of my daily post on Substack, because it's a big day. It's a big day astrologically. There's going to be fireworks apparently with the signing of this big bloated bill. And part of me as an astrologer is kind of thinking, well, maybe this had to happen before people woke up. Uranus goes into Gemini on the 7th. The revolution could be here if we choose it. It's time to wake up. But we have to acknowledge that this is who we are. To quote Childish Gambino, this is America. I was going to share the image of him behind me from that great song. I invite you to go and listen to that song, in fact, again on this holiday, because this is America. This is who we have become, but it doesn't have to be who we choose to become. All right. But we can't blindly, Neptunianly, delusionally go, this isn't who we are, let's party, and just go back to doing nothing, to fight for the promise of what this country is. So I also pulled the 8 of threads, the change, I am dynamic. So this isn't just about critique, this is about catalyzing information. We can't pretend anymore. The threads are snapping and we get to reweave them. So I want to read you from the book that came with this Red Threads Tarot deck. So this is your red thread of movement, and I wear a red thread at all times, by the way, but I want to read you a couple of quotes. In each moment the fire rages, it will burn away 100 veils and carry you 1,000 steps toward your goal. That's Rumi. And then there's another quote, says the energy of creativity is like a fire that transforms all kinds of obstacles into opportunities for dynamic new growth and advancement. And that's by Daisaku Ikea. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, am I? Oh, yes. Excuse me. Oh, I think something wanted to be released with this. So from the book, a dynamic, fiery power is bringing momentum and progress swiftly into your life. allowing you to find the confidence to move forward very quickly. Synchronicities surround you, as Jung would say. These are always meaningful, oh, sorry, coincidences. Connections from your unconscious self will offer you powerful insights and guidance. New opportunities arise suddenly, which may give you access to pathways you haven't yet ventured into yet. Creative ideas may suddenly appear. Take note, for they will be important. Allow your inner compass to direct you to where you need to go. This burning energy is quick, insightful, to remove obstacles that may have been blocking your way forward for some time. Past difficulties are being finally and quickly resolved and fading from your life. You are on a fast road that will enable you to make the right decisions, find positive growth, and make considerable favorable changes. A word of warning: as dynamic as this day and you may feel on this day, be aware not to burn yourself out. Remember to take a break when you need it. Feel your movement forward. Such activity, such a force. Be excited. So, I just wanted to do this video really. I feel very tearful because, as I started with that quote, I do love this country and I really want it to fulfill its promise. And I want people to think that this is about more than MAGA, more than the apparent occupant of the White House. I actually was listening. Sorry, I'm rambling a bit today, but I promise this is kind of the last kind of diversion because I'm going to go and finish listening to it afterwards. I was listening to an interview by Hassan Minhaj, who I like, with Tim Miller, who's from on the Bulwark. He's one of my favourite commenters. And it was really interesting. It's called The Republican Road to Hell with Tim Miller, but he also talks about, the lack of dynamism in the Democratic Party, and it's a wide-ranging interview. He's very knowledgeable, and I value most of his opinion about politics, which is why I subscribe to the Bulwark. But this is on Hassan Minhaj's YouTube channel. In fact, I'll link to it below. It's a great interview, one that I am going to go and re-listen to because I was only half listening. But as well as sharing that with you, but he was saying, we need these dynamic, powerful leaders who really want to bring this promise of the country into being. Doesn't matter whether they're from which party, doesn't matter. Bring it into being that these truth and liberty for all, and liberty and justice for all, or whatever it's called, will actually be reflected in this country. So what truth are you ready to speak today? This is mine. And what myth are you ready to unravel? Because my main one today is the myth that this is not who we are. Because, I acknowledge, I've grown, but some of my past views very much have helped bring us to this because it's conditioning, it's culture, it's how we got here. Now it's time to break Uranus with that past and move forward. And I love you. I do want you to have a happy 4th of July. Now I've got it out of my system, I'm going to go and have a quiet day, mostly on the sofa. I love you. See you next time. Bye.